My name is Kobe. If you haven't met me yet, I'm the fearless leader, if we have one, I guess. I'm the one that started the group, so I guess I get blamed for what's going on. Glad you guys showed up tonight. Thank you for coming out to our new venue. If any of you had ever been over to our library venue where we were at most recently, you realize last month we absolutely packed the room out and people were standing outside. So we had to get a bigger room, and we did that. And if we fill this room, then we can rent the other half of the room. But that is the bad part. We have to rent it. Over there, we got it for free. Here, we had to pay. So that's why we started doing the donation thing there. Hopefully, you were able to contribute to that. If not, it'll be there on the way out. But the room costs us $260, and so we're trying to cover the cost of that instead of everything coming out of my pocket. But anyway, glad you guys made it. The drawings, people are still putting their name in the drawings, so we'll continue throughout the meeting. If you want to, there's 3 different drawings, and you can enter all 3 if you're eligible for all 3. So the white bucket is the first one. The white bucket, if you're here, you're eligible. So put your name and the last 4 digits of your phone number on there, and that's just so that if we have 2 Marys, and I pull Mary out of the bucket, we know which Mary it is. So we do the last 4 of your social security, or not your social security, last 4 of your phone number on there. So that's, if you're here, that's the white bucket. The blue bucket, you can get in there. We call that our I Did It prize. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get people to move from talking about prepping and thinking about prepping to actually doing it. Okay, you see the difference there? I think, I go to church on Sunday, every Sunday. I try to, twice sometimes, Wednesday nights, and we see a lot of people sitting in the pew that think about it, but they don't live it, they don't do it, okay? And I don't like that, So I try to do that, and I try to do this. So we're trying to move you guys into doing it. So if you did something related to prepping in the last month, since our last meeting, then you qualify for the blue bucket. Okay? So you put your name in there. Then, this thing's got shorted, clearly. Okay, so that will be the blue bucket. And we'll have these drawings every month, by the way, okay? Then the green bucket is if you brought a guest, a first-time guest. So what that means is, if you invited someone who has never been here before, and they showed up, then you get to put your name in the green bucket, and you put your name, their name, first names only, and that will tell us who wins that. We'll draw 2 prizes out of each bucket tonight, okay? I plan on having these prizes every month, so it tells you need to be here, you need to be doing it, and bring somebody with you. There you go. That's the things that are important. Okay. Does your dog count? No, it does not. Donation buckets is back there at the registration or the notes table. Thank you. No. First time to our meetings in general. Okay, yeah, I see that. I see where you're going with that. You don't get to count your pets either, okay, even if they're emotional support animals, okay? But you do get to count kids. So just bring a bunch of kids with you, that counts, okay? You get more times in the prize. And matter of fact, on the guest thing, the guest one, the green one, is the only one you can enter more than once. If you bring 3 people with you, you get to enter 3 times. If you bring 5 people with you, you get to enter 5 times. Okay? So, and our prizes are these items on the table here that you're eligible for. They range anywhere from $10 up to about $150 value. So, hopefully some good stuff that we're giving away. Okay? So let's get started tonight. First thing we want to do, hopefully you got a copy of your notes, but I didn't. So Mom, would you bring me a copy of the notes? Because the notes, okay, I got one, Jason, thank you. So the notes aren't really much notes tonight. A lot of times we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of notes. So this is not really much notes. You get to take your own notes tonight as we talk about what goes in a bug out bag, what goes in a good home bag. You take your own notes. But at the top of that, there's a couple of things we want to talk about, just announcement-wise. The first one is our Ozarks Bug Out Camp. And our Ozarks Bug Out Camp is this coming week or next weekend. We start, those of us who are camping overnight, start arriving on Thursday, and it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we depart on Sunday. The bad news is, if you hadn't heard about it before, you don't have a reservation, The campground is completely sold out, so there are no further reservations available, but you can still come during the day and visit us if you want. But you need to make sure you let me know. And we're going to be passing around a sign-up sheet here in just a minute. I'll talk about if you are going to come for the day only, okay, you need to make sure you put your name on that sign-up sheet so we make sure we're prepared for you, okay? You see a brief agenda there, what's happening on Friday, what's happening on Saturday, and it does cost $10. So if you're there on Friday or if you're there on Saturday, it's $10 per person per day. We will provide you lunch. You bring something for the potluck for dinner, and make sure you bring a chair, okay? And that's at the Roaring River State Park down in Cassville. So if you want to come to that, make sure you sign up tonight. It's your last chance. Our next meeting is going to be October 14th. Again, all of our meetings are always on the second Friday night of each month. Okay, second Friday night of each month, 6 o'clock. And this is our new location. I've got the room booked all the way through the end of the year at least. So we'll be meeting back here. Next month's topic, I'm trying to do 2 topics each month, a main topic and a smaller topic. Our main topic is going to be solar power. Okay, I've got someone booked that I think is going to be a great expert to come and talk to us. It will not be me, so that means there's someone that actually knows something about solar, because I don't. So come next month for talk about solar power, and I haven't decided what the short topic is going to be, but when I pass around this clipboard, and hopefully everybody will have a chance to see this clipboard tonight, there's the front page of this clipboard is a suggestion list for topics. I have some suggestions that have came in through Facebook. I'm going to take the suggestions that are on this list. What I want you to do is you get this clipboard. The front page here is the topics list, so write topics that you would like to learn about. As you get this list, look at what other people have written, and if someone has already written something that you are interested in, put a little check mark out here on this end. If I get like 20 check marks, then I'll know that's a popular topic and that kind of thing. So the name of the topic and then check marks if you like that topic, okay? Again, I haven't decided on topics for October, November, December, but we will take those from this list. So I'm going to start this around here in just a minute. We'll start it over here with Jace. There are actually 4 sheets of paper you need to look through when you get this. The first one is a topic list, so you can write a topic. The second one says AB email list. And he didn't know I did this, but Alan back there is grinning at me. And Alan, who's our speaker tonight on drones, has a great email list where he emails out pertinent Prepper-related information. I don't keep an email list. I don't do that, but he does, and he does a great job at it. If you would like to be on his email list of pertinent Prepper-related information, then you put your email address on the second page. Okay, and it says AB email list at the top. Okay? Then the next one, teacher's list. I need people to help me teach. I don't want to be the only one that teaches. So if you are interested in teaching about a particular subject at one of our meetings, you can write your name, the topic you would like to teach about, and some information that I can get a hold of you. And then that'll help me schedule expert speakers. Then the last of the 4 pages is our Bug Out Camp daytime attendee. And that's the event next weekend, Friday and Saturday during the day. If you want to come, okay, and you're going to show up down in Cassville, you cannot show up unexpected. You need to let me know. So there's a list here, write your name and the days you're going to be there, and then we will prepare accordingly. Okay? So that's the 4 pages that are pertinent in here. There's additional pages at the back if we need more spaces, but look through the top 4 pages, write your name if it pertains to you, and I'll collect these at the end of the night. Any questions on that? Okay, one last reminder for anyone that's came in late, make sure you get your name in the 4 drawings, or 3 drawings, right here on these 3 buckets, the white, blue, and green bucket. Get your name in the drawing if you're eligible, and we'll draw for prizes at the end of the meeting. And you must be present to win. Okay, well, let's get on to our first topic. Tonight we're talking about, Jason, would you take that for me? Tonight, the main topic is our get-home bags and our bug-out bags. So let's briefly talk about the difference. What's the difference in the get-home bag and a bug-out bag? No one knows. Oh wait, there's a hand.
Get-home bag is designed to get you back home from a distance away. Mine is set up to get us home from about 4 days away.
Okay.
Because that's how far the farm is to go. Usually we don't come to work with miles. Our bag is also designed that we don't need to take the business that night. We don't need to get home in certain days. We can get it back. It's also right now set up for winter. Because that is
Coming up.
Get a buyout bag is designed to get you from where you are in the city, maybe you live out in the country, or wherever you're living. So you're going to have different items in this bag.
Absolutely.
Get home bag, you're not going to necessarily worry about, a lot of extra things that you need from the city. Get home bag, I have, emergency toilet.
Toilet paper. Wow, what an idea.
Because it's winter time.
More bags. Yeah, good. Hold on. Don't tell us all your secrets. Now, in just a minute, bring your bag up here and we'll have you go through everything in your bag.
But I'll warn you about the get-home bag. If you take anything else in your trunk, make sure that you're tracking about it, look over your bags.
A little different what I expected.
There you go. That's a good point of advice. Yeah, anybody who brought your bag and you want to talk about it, bring it up here on the table. And that way I know who wants to talk about their bag. You want to talk about your bag? Bring it up here. Okay. Anybody else brought a bag that you want to talk about it? Okay. So the basic difference, the get-home bag, which is, again, that's what you have, that's what I have, and that's if I'm in town and I live out in the country and something happens and I can't drive home, I've got a backpack I can strap on my back and I can get home. He indicated that he has his set up for about 4 days. I got mine set up for about 3 days, something like that. Okay, so that's the idea. Whereas your bug-out bag is more oriented towards you keep it at home rather than in your vehicle, and then you can get out of Dodge, and you're going to leave your house, and you're going to go to the country, you're going to go to the forest, you're going to go to the woods, you're going to go to your bug-out location, that type of thing, and you have everything in there you need to survive. So we're going to jump right into then Robert, right? Robert came all the way from Kansas. Wow, he may have won the furthest award away today. I won't give out any more information for him from RobSec, but I'm going to turn it over to Robert. You got 15 minutes, so tell us what you got in your bag.
Yeah. Well, I would just encourage people to come up and I'll go through it individually. But I think it's important to understand that my primary plan is to bug in. So my alternate plan is to bug out to a already stocked location. So after that, I have caches along the way, which allow me to go a little bit lighter. And I would put in those caches like extra batteries, more food, more water, anything that would be a consumable item, maybe more medical, and that's pretty much it.
Is that it?
Yeah, I mean,
specific stuff.
I would just encourage people to come up and then I'll go through individual pieces of gear. I think it'll be easier to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. After the class, come up and the people can stand behind their bag and talk about it. Let me ask you this question specifically. Is there something in your bag that you think is unique that nobody else has?
Ooh, I do have thermal optics.
Thermal optics, that's a great idea. Yeah, okay.
I do have smoke in case, you got to break contact.
Okay, so smoke for signaling. Is that type of thing?
You can
Okay.
use it for signaling or you can use it for breaking contact if you...
Okay, kind of like I'm thinking like a flashbang kind of a thing? Or
Not just smoke.
But just smoke, but the same idea, that keep them out of the way. Smoke screen, okay. Yeah, Jace, you got a question?
you don't have to be fancy. You could throw, a couple sticks together and make it work. Or if I was liberated of my bag for some reason, I could make this influence it.
Good. Okay, any other questions about his stuff? You can come up, yes?
I've got a question on caching.
Mhm.
When you cache, you caching on property with permission of other lands, how do you do that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of research that goes in, there's a lot of research that goes into that. But yes, the public lands or private property, people that I know along the way. So that's what I would do.
I will elaborate on that just to clarify what she's asking about, because some people may not be familiar with it. The idea of caching is that, let's say you have to get from here to St. Louis. And so, you can't make it that whole way with the supplies on your back. So you cache or you store along the way in secret locations. Think bank robber hiding their loot in the ground with an X marks the spot, or a pirate or something. That type of idea. You're going to cache supplies along the way. And so his indication was, if you know people along the way, you can store stuff on their property. Some people do it on public land. Some people do it on other people's property who they don't even know. I'm not going to say you should do that if that's illegal or anything, but people store stuff along the way so that they can pick up additional supplies, and those are commonly buried. Is that kind of what you're thinking there? Okay, good. Any other questions real quickly about Robert and his bag? Yeah.
So speaking of caching,
Yeah.
do you bury it? Do you put it up in a tree? Do you
I bury it, but you can rent a locker, you can rent a storage space, you can just be creative. They don't have to be buried in the ground. I mean, there's one of mine that is an old duck blind on a guy's property. So, and it's just strategically located there. And that's just an opportunity shelter for me on the way, so I don't have to set up an actual shelter. So those are just, like I said, there's quite a bit of homework that goes into the whole process for sure.
What do you use?
Well, the ones that are buried, PVC pipe with clean outs on the end.
Good. Other questions? I like the questions and the interactions.
I believe you use the buckets, right? The handle is, it's screwed down, to bury also.
It depends what you're putting in there. I mean, I service them once a year too, so things that expire, I'm going back and I'm just, tossing the stuff that's expired and then replacing it.
Good. Okay. Next, come on up.
Hello, my name is Mike, and I've got kind of a unique situation. I have a 7-hour get-home bag. It's 7 hours because I know that's the time in average weather it's going to take me to get from where I am to where I want to be. So I've got just a little bit, I've got a lot of the traditional stuff. Remember, 2 is 1 is none. I've got 2 headlamps, for example, and they both are on a list of that check the batteries routinely and regularly. Got water, because you got to have water, right? There's some other tricks you can do about water. A small clean stone in your mouth, for example. You know that, sir? It helps. Small candies, the Jolly Ranchers, that sort of thing will stimulate saliva as well, so that's helpful as well. One of the things that I really like is I like small quantities of these beef sticks. There's the cheese ones as well. They're small, they don't take up much room, and they don't cost very much. Additionally, I also have, just got a lunch and meat thing. It does seem like a lot, and it really is. There's a second part to the preparations that I do, though, and that's my wife and I often go to Branson, so we have to keep in mind. Instead of taking 7 hours to get home, we'd probably double that, or maybe a little bit more even. And that's assuming that we can use the route that we, when we're going home, we're not walking down the highway, right? So we got to know the route that we're going to take. We have plastic maps in each of the cars that go into our bags so that we can find walkabouts there, and certainly between here and where we live. 7-hour route. So I've got to have decent shoes, and I have a big pair of socks in there. I can't really walk too easily with some of the stuff that I'm in Springfield with working, for example. That's the sleeping bag right here. It's literally that small because I'm not worried about weight, I'm not worried about size. I don't want those things. If you are in shape, you can, about 20% of your weight you can put into a bag. If you're not in shape, try to go with about 15%. And if you possibly can, walk around with it a little bit. Take your little walk around there and see what's going on. Got an extra box of ammo. They'll often be replaced with a couple of magazines. Just routine things. I've got to use a Swiss Army knife is what I like because it's multi-functional. It has many uses. The Leatherman tools are great too. I have one of those that's usually if I'm here in town, I'll be having one of those. Maybe you're not familiar with the Life Straws. They're about $20 each, maybe a little bit cheaper now. I think we saw a 5-pack at Costco the other day for, I don't know, was it $30 or something? I don't remember. You literally stick that in the water and you can drink. As far as clothing, what I take is I like to run a little bit light, especially in the winter. So I'll have something that I can keep dry with, and I'll have something that I'll layer with, because I want to run a little bit cooler. Much of the time that it'll take in my 7 hours, that's just if I'm walking, and that's just if it's, you know, if it's tough. If it's maybe snowing and icing, it'll be a little bit longer. But so I don't really have anything unique. I've found that a lot of the lists and a lot of what other people have inspired me. Any questions?
First aid kit.
What about? Yeah, we do have first aid kits too. We make our own because we know what we like. So we buy the supplies in town, usually at the gun show, for example. It's a great place to get some of those supplies. You can get them inexpensively. If you need something, I can probably give it to you. You've got a whole ton of that stuff. But basic things, Band-Aids, tape. You can do a lot with just those two things right there alone. Extra glasses are sometimes helpful for those of us who wear glasses or medications if we're going to be out long. Okay. Well, I think so. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Mike or what he's got in his bag? The way he and his wife are the ones to ask about medical things. So they have taught our medical training when we've had medical training before, and he's very, very knowledgeable, I'll put it that way, about that stuff. He and his wife both, so good.
I do have a question for
Alan?
Mike. In that hypothetical scenario, Branson to Springfield without using highways, how are you going to do that in a matter of 2 or 3 days? Given the terrain between Branson and Springfield, other than the highway.
Yeah, sure. And the answer is poorly.
So I'm thinking, not using the highway, you're crossing a lot of private property, and in a scenario where the poop is hitting the fan, that's probably a good way to get shot.
Yeah.
Crossing, unless you know the people where
Well,
you're
you know, we
crossing.
move at night.
Yeah.
And inside tree lines and such, so.
I'm thinking, my philosophy would be to move along the edge of the right of way, but along the highway at night.
That's a great point, Al. And just another reminder too is whenever you use your bags, there's stuff you're gonna have in there for the first day or two. After about day 3, the dynamic changes considerably. People are gonna start being hungry. They're gonna realize that law enforcement is not there. And it's kind of game on. They're gonna want, some of them will want whatever you have. So Alan makes a great point about moving and picking a route. Yeah, we hope that it's not going to happen when we're in Branson. If anything happens, because it's going to suck.
I'm thinking something that abrupt, kind of something that's gradual. You can get home before everybody else realizes what's going on. But something like an EMP, where everything comes to a halt. That's the only scenario I see where one would be on foot. I'm thinking in that scenario,
especially if you're gonna be traveling at night, night vision is something that ought to be able to get.
That's a great point. My plan, my bag is set up to go home and to go home quickly. EMP day 3, day 4, day 5, not nearly so well. Too many surprises, as you know.
Good question. You know, one of the things that you would want to think through if you're doing the get home bag thing or even the bug out bag thing, you know, traveling, you said don't travel on the highways, and there might be a scenario where you think it's still safe to travel on a main road. Kind of my plan is, rather than taking Highway 13 to my house, I know what the back roads are. So I'm still on a road. I'm not necessarily crossing private property, but I'm not going to be on the busy road necessarily. I've also considered Alan's idea of actually just going. You're following the main highway, but you're off the highway. You're not walking down the middle of the road. You're actually on the side road going up like the fence or whatever. The other thing that Mike mentioned is traveling at night, and night travel may be a little more difficult, but typically if it's during the summer, it's also cooler, which is a benefit. You can, obviously travel incognito a lot more, and if you had night vision, that would be, you mentioned a thermal camera, those types of things. That'd be a great thing to have in there if you're planning on moving at night. Matter of fact, between those two conversations, I think I need to add night vision to my bag, and we can protect it from an EMP by how? Faraday cage, but what's a really cheap, easy Faraday cage that would go well in a bag? Basically aluminum foil. You insulate it, then you wrap it in aluminum foil, and then insulate the aluminum foil on the outside of that. So plastic wrap, aluminum foil, plastic wrap again. Easy Faraday cage. Throw that in your bug out bag, and then your EMP hasn't affected your night vision. Great. Yes. Removing the power supply, no, not going to be a significant issue. However, I don't ever store electronics with the batteries in them. So absolutely keep the batteries out separate, but no, it would not be a factor either way. If it's going to fry it, it's going to fry it, kind of a thing. But great question. Good. Any other questions about anything we've talked about so far? Yes?
On the batteries, when I store, I not only don't keep any electronics, I keep batteries in Ziploc bags so that if there's a leak from the battery, it'll store something else.
Okay. Yeah, so keep the batteries in a separate container. Again, not in the electronics, but also in a Ziploc bag. So that's good advice. Yes?
Another thing you can do is go USB.
A USB?
And flashlights recharge with USB.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Rechargeable things, absolutely.
I'm getting away from batteries and going to USB chargers.
I totally get that. And batteries, one of the reasons I have a battery charger, rechargeable batteries here is long-term SHTF, we're not going to be able to get more actual batteries, so we're either going to have rechargeable batteries, or we're going to have something that's rechargeable, i.e. through a USB or something like that, and obviously have a generator or solar system that recharges that. But having flashlights that all run on AAA batteries, you can't really prep enough AAA batteries for long term, so you're going to have an alternate idea there. Good. Any other hands? Yes?
The sleeping bag, can you explain that?
Sleeping bag. Mike, where'd you go? You want to explain your sleeping bag?
Yeah, sometimes it might be called a bivy bag. It's good up for people up to about 6'10", oddly enough. And it just simply adds at least another 10 degrees to anything that you want to do. Every layer you put on adds 10 degrees. If you have a sleeping bag, you put a sheet in the sleeping bag, that's another 10 degrees. If you go inside of a tent, that's another 10 degrees. I just want something that I can get under real quick, keep the snow and the ice off, should that be covered. I've got some small covers, the solar blankets you may have seen, the things that make you look like a baked potato if you're in, just to keep the stuff off a little bit, enough for a small rest, and then I move on. I don't want weight, I don't want bulk.
So what is the material? Is this like the space blanket type of material?
No,
a
this
mylar?
is actually, it's just a nylon.
Just a nylon? Okay, kind of like a poncho or type of thing.
Yeah.
You have space blankets too. in addition to this. That's a great idea. I actually have one of these, and I don't have it in my bug out bag or my get home bag, but I need to put it in there. So that's a great idea. Good.
There's all kinds of brands of that. One of them that I use is called Don't Die in the Woods.
Don't Die in the Woods brand.
They got a couple of different versions of it. They've got one that's more thicker, it's line, for the emergency type light and stuff. They got one that comes out and creates a tent where the heat can radiate inside the tent. But they're all small like that. They all like ounces, so that you're not loading all the weight on them.
Okay, I saw a hand in the back first.
Yeah, what about medicine? Medicine.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you halfway.
About medicine,
Yeah, medicine.
Okay.
Pills, like heart medicine, diabetes, medicine. You can only get 30 at a time, so you don't become an addict. You can take medicine.
Ma'am, I'd like to comment on that if you don't mind. You can get that stuff. Thank you. Sorry about that. Ma'am, you can get some of those things, you can buy them on the internet, advanced. On the internet, you can get them Jace, J-A-S-E, Jace Medical, for example. You can buy this stuff on the net. You can also get it if you have anybody going down to Mexico. That's a good place to get that from. We recently picked up, 7 antibiotics and a couple of antifungals, I think.
They have a doctor that
Those places that do have a doctor, ma'am. It's in conjunction with U.S. law and such as that.
So there's also Sayed Hyder. Sayed Hyder is the doctor. He will fill your prescription. If you've got a current prescription, he will fill additional refills of it. So he won't write you the prescription, but he can get you refills on a prescription you have.
Who's that?
His name is Sayed Hyder, and S-A-Y-E-D. Hyder, I think. If you're interested in the contact information, see me. I'll hang around, see me, and we'll send you the contact.
I have been told that if you'll speak with your physician, they can give you prescriptions for up to a year. Now, your insurance isn't going to cover that. Insurance nowadays makes the doctors do whatever they do, or limits them from doing it. But if you're able to go out and buy it, pay cash, then you should be able to get those as well. Fish, onyx are
Are the same thing.
same thing.
They're the same, they're made by the same place.
The question is, are fish antibiotics good? And they are absolutely great. Acromycin is acromycin. They make the same thing. It's $1.58 if you get them for your fishies, you really get them. And then it's $27 if you buy it from the pharmacy or something. It's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. There are a variety of things you can do like that as well.
On prescriptions, I usually just, you can get it 7 days early and just keep doing it that month after month and you just, there you go.
Okay, that's a good idea. You hear her say, she says they'll allow you to refill your prescription 7 days early. You do that 7 days early, 7 days early, 7 days early every month, then you add them up and you can stock them. That's a good idea. Yes, sir.
So what do you do about taking your solar equipment with the Faraday cage? Or do you have to, or not?
Okay.
You have solar panels,
That,
you have all your solar panels with equipment?
I'm going to give you a basic answer. It's kind of a subject for a different night. But we talked about Faraday cages here 2 meetings ago, 3 meetings ago. Solar panels themselves are not affected by an EMP, okay, in general. Only with a couple of exceptions. They have a diode in them, okay? The diode is affected by the EMP, so you can get replacement diodes. My solar panels are actually not installed. They're actually at my bug out location, protected by a Faraday cage, i.e. aluminum foil in my case for those. And I don't install them until after the fact. My solar chargers, all that type of stuff is in my 55-gallon drum Faraday cages. But if you have them up, have extra diodes that would be replaceable, then the actual solar chargers is the really vulnerable portion of the solar panel system. So your solar chargers or your inverters, so you'd probably have backup chargers or inverters, or keep them in a Faraday cage. The EMP shield, if y'all have heard of EMP shield, I'll write that up here. EMP shield has their devices that are made according to Milstat standards. They have an EMP shield device for your solar panel system that you just wire in line with your solar panel system. If you go to the EMPshield.com website, I have a coupon code that you can use and save 10%. Just type in the word safety first. Safety first. Save 10% off anything on the EMP Shield website. And that's a discount we get as a group. So just remember safety first. It is 2 words, safety and then first, F-I-R-S-T. So spell it all out. That should give you 10% off. And but they have stuff to protect your car, stuff to protect your house, stuff to protect solar systems. So that's several different options there. Okay, great questions. Let's move on. Who's my next bad guy? Come on up. Absolutely, bring all kinds of things. We like show and tell. Step on back there. I'm going to give you the mic. It's got a short circuit in it, so hold it.
Okay, also about the medicines for diabetics. At Walmart, you can get fast-acting and slow-acting insulin over the counter. It's $25, well, $24.89 or something like that. And 2020, I lost my wife, but I had life insurance money. I bought a year's supply. You can buy 2 at a time of each one. I went in and I buy 2 at a time, take it home, stick it in the fridge. And it had expiration dates like, some won't even expire until next year, but I've already used them. So if you're concerned about diabetic medicine, just remember, don't let it get hot. If it gets hot, it starts to go bad, breaks down. In other words, don't put it in your get-home bag or bug-out bag. Try to keep it in the fridge. Don't let it freeze either. So I was talking about winter's coming up. My bag right now is set up for winter. These, you stick them in your shoes, you stick them in your gloves, you stick them in different parts in your clothes to keep you warm. They really come in handy. Also about the insulin, if you're trying to get home, have sugar with you, because when you're walking and you're carrying any kind of gear, you're going to be using a lot of body sugar. That glucose is going to go down fast. Bring sugar with you as well as insulin. I keep about a 4-day supply of insulin. I've got this pouch right here. It's got my insulin in it and got a couple needles in it, got a glucometer in it, and keep it with me all the time. Okay, I can set the mic down for a minute so I can get my bag open. Yes?
You held up that bag, but you didn't say what it was.
These are hand warmers.
Okay.
And this, I'll open this up. These look like pills. You take it out of here, you put a little bit of water on it, and it opens up into basically like a wipey. And you can use it for toilet paper, you can use it for washing yourself. We've seen, you have the Life Straw. I keep a Sawyer Mini, and I got a Life Straw in the car. When you use those, if you use them with a bottle, just a couple drops from the bottle of water, just a couple drops from your Sawyer Mini, or if you are in absolute desperate need, you stick it in a mud puddle. You can get stuff off you. These are great. Got them on Amazon. It was about $7 for this bag 2 years ago.
What are they called?
These are called mini napkins. Yeah, you can have one. Oh, go open it up. Yeah, absolutely. I've got 2 bags of these. This one is called Mini Magic Napkins. It comes with 100 of them in there. And they're great. I've used them at home. I've also got wipies in the car, baby wipes. Use those for everything. I got an almost 1-year-old granddaughter, but I use them for everything. Yep, he's got them right there. I can open the bag now. I also have, and this is heavy. It's heavy because I got a lot of stuff in there that if I don't need, when it's time to go, I'm just gonna leave it in the car. Another thing that I saw that he covered up there, if if you're gonna carry ammunition in your car, remember heat can damage a lot of things. And if there's any liquids in there, you carry bleach in your trunk for any reason, all that stuff can damage your ammunition. Put it in a Ziploc bag.
What you get out of that? Basically
Yeah.
a wet wipe type.
That's exactly what it is. These,
Very strong, very strong.
It's, yeah, it's stronger than toilet paper. I mean, it's equivalent like a wet wipe.
something a lot of people don't think about. Try to keep some sunscreen with you, even in the winter, because that sun's gonna reflect on you. But, I picked the bag up for about $80, and, it took me a couple of years to get it all put together, everything in here. But, as you can see, it's a little bit.
Is that an Alice medium?
It is, absolutely. Now, the newer packs I like because they're a lot lighter, a lot stronger, more durable. But this is what I bought because this is what I do. How many of you have served? But if you've served, then you know pretty much about packs, survival stuff. Poncho? Freeze-dried food. I've also got this that I picked up at Walmart. It was $20 when I picked it up. They're edging up closer to 40 now. This is a 48-hour supply for 4 people. There's 2 of us. So it's a 4-day supply for the 2 of us. Or if you're by yourself, you know, that's an 8-day supply of food. This looks like a lot of stuff. I also have a, you know, the walkers, they have wheels on them, they have a seat. I picked one up at a yard sale that's got 3 wheels instead. If you're gonna be moving along the road, this back will sit right on there, strap in. I'm not very strong, got bad shoulder, got bad knee. If I need it, I got it. But like I said, you can chuck a lot of this stuff out. Rubber gloves. I got a camel pack in the car. This is a spare bag from the camel pack because they rupture. And if you see something that I've got that you think is too much, let me know. Because I'm still learning this stuff too. Feminine hygiene napkins. I used to be an EMT. These things absorb a lot of blood and they're sterile until you open. Let me see what else I got here. I got a lot of junk. Hand towels, washcloths, just in case. More gloves. A lot of people carry flares. I like these. They're not as bright, but at the same time, they're not as bright. I also have, somewhere here, I got flashlights, more wifeys.
Are those glow sticks?
Glow sticks, absolutely, yeah. I think, you know, you can pick them up at Dollar Tree. You can pick them up anywhere. But if you go on Amazon, I've got some at home that are mil spec. They glow for 16 hours, really bright. But those kind of, they signal and let people know where you are. This is vet wrap. I got this at MFA. I used to race horses. It's the, is it Coban? Is that what they call it? Yeah, it's Coban. But this was $2. At Walmart, the little rolls are like $6 for 2 of them. This was $2 at MFA. Same place you can go to, what?
It's also called COVID.
Yeah, they call it vet wrap at MFA. But same place you go to get your fish pills. Let's see, waterproof matches and the magnesium striker. Got that. So that's just the top of it. Blankets, because you never know what you're going to need a blanket for. I've also got them in the car. Hammocks. They may not want to sleep on the ground, and I may have been in the summer. Well, I was in the summer in fact. Knife. I carry a pocket knife. I carry a multi-tool. I carry on my EDC a lighter, pepper spray, all kinds of stuff. But I keep knives everywhere. because my dad drilled it into my head, you gotta have a pocket knife on you all the time. This one is a silver stag, and one of my boys bought it for me, it's pretty expensive. But I had another one out in the car that was strapped onto it that I didn't bring in. She's gonna ball caps. Walking in the sun, you want to forgot to tell. And someone mentioned, yeah, your sleeping bag there. It's a sleeping bag too, it's a thermal. And because I was setting it up for winter, and I got these. I don't know if he has them. I don't even know if he still has the store up there at all. But Jim Baker's place that he had up there in Branson, I picked these up there. And it opens up. It's kind of like a tent almost, the way it sets up. But it's supposed to be a sleeping bag. I got 2 of those for me and the boy. Let me see what else I got here. Zip ties. I use zip ties for everything. Oh, not the deal. I don't know if these work for handcuffs, but you know, I use zip ties for everything. If you need, you can take this blanket and some zip ties on trees and set yourself up a little canopy. It comes in, I mean, just everything comes in handy. More blankets. My wife used to work, well, I used to work there too. Anybody ever hear of Copeland or Emerson down in Lebanon? They make air conditioning compressors. We got these straps. They're about the same thing as a seatbelt strap, same density, everything. But these were used to pick up skids of sheet metal. And I got a bunch of these. They come in handy for, I've used them to tow cars. And they come in handy for everything. They got a loop at either end. If you could find something like this, now you can go to a junkyard and get seatbelts. Seatbelts come in handy for everything. Cut them off. Anyone here ever do any leather work? If you do leather work, you know your leather roll that you sew with, that stitches these up real nice. And they, like I said, they come in handy. You can use that. You can put your blanket over it. You can use it to strap things down. Yeah, I got paracord too. Most of my paracord is still at home. Socks. If you're walking, and you're going to be walking for more than a day or two, have an extra pair of socks with you if you can. Because I'll tell you what, your socks get wet. Anybody that's served in a walking military will know that if your feet get wet, you're in trouble. Socks. That's also another reason why the hand towels. Dry your feet, put a fresh pair of dry socks on. Here's another one of those straps. I don't know, I'm taking up a little time, sorry, I got a lot of stuff. But that's what they're like on either end, and I've used them for everything. Wifey used to use them to tie down hay bales. Let me see what else we got here. Well, that's about it in there. But I got side projects. Anybody that's served on the water? These rations come in real handy. They usually keep them in lifeboats. I think I paid $18 for this, and there's yeah, it says lifeboat rations right on it by day tracks. Eat 1 bar every 6 hours per person. Or if you're on land and you're doing more, 1 bar every 4 hours per person. It's coming really handy. It's got a list on the back of what they've got in it. I can set this out there in case anyone wants to see it. I think there's 18 in it. I think it ended up costing me about $1 per bar. But
That's what I carry as well. The main reason is because I don't want to start a fire to draw attention to myself.
that's right.
So that's what I
That's
have.
why I use the freeze dries,
Yeah.
because even this is all freeze dried. You don't have to cook it. However, the noodles don't really get really good if they're not cooked. Here's one with my buckets.
Yes.
See? Yeah. The emergency blankets, I can't remember who mentioned them out there, but keep those handy. There's another one. And batteries in a Ziploc. Who said, wasn't it? Yeah, batteries in a Ziploc. There you go. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube. I'm a video junkie. I blame my mom. She used to let me watch a lot of monster movies when I was a kid. I think this is t-shirt, underwear, and socks. Let me see what else I got. I I got so much crap in you guys. Here's my Sawyer. I like the Sawyer Mini because it does more water. You know, it says up to 100,000 gallons, and I think that one's up to, what, 300?
The newer ones are 1,000,000 gallons.
A million gallons for the life straws?
No, not Life Straw.
Oh, Sawyer's. Yeah. So I like Sawyer. Plus, Sawyer, if you look at the ends, that will clip into your camel pack. So if you have to just dip the camel pack into the water, you put this in line and you suck it. You're getting fresh, clean water. So I really like that. Netting for your hat. You're walking around, you don't want mosquitoes. Like it's just a comfort. Fun pack and stuff back up. Who said Swiss Army knife? This one, very close friend of the family got for me. Got my name on it. But back there, let's see what else we got. I think that's about it. If there's stuff that I mentioned that I didn't pull out, that's because it's in the car or I unpacked it. Does anybody have a young Marine, someone who served within the last 15, 20 years? The Marines developed something called an IFAC, Individual First Aid Kit. And this has chest seals in it. Someone gets shot in the chest, someone gets a chest wound, seal it up. I made this myself, I bought all this stuff on Amazon. I've got chest seals, I've got a cat tourniquet, combat application tourniquet there. Zip stitch, has anybody ever heard of a zip stitch? Zip stitches are great. You see some heads, they're like, you place it over the wound after you clean it, and you just pull it, and it stitches it right closed. It's temporary. However, I've got,
You can do the same thing with duct tape.
you can.
Just clip the ends off your zip ties and
Yep.
put them on them. And
This, I used to be an EMT, as I said. This has, this is first aid kit. It has blood pressure cuff, stethoscope, more zip stitch, more chest seals. I've got this little first aid kit, picked it up at Walmart. I can't remember how much it was, but it's got 255 pieces, Band-Aids, everything I've got. Oh, I've got airway in this. I don't know if anybody here has ever, well, what do you do first? Paramedic, okay. So I got an airway in here, nasopharyngeal. Pull it all out. But,
with lube.
do what?
With lube.
With lube, yes, absolutely, with lube. There's chest seals. There's zip stitch. Bleed stopper. Does anybody know what that is? Bleed stopper? You have animals at home, big animals and stuff, keep it on hand. You know what it's made of? You know what it's made out of?
It's carbohydrate.
But where does it come from?
It's a plant-based, I like.
This one comes from shrimp shells. Shrimp shells. Yeah. It's interesting. I looked it up, and that's what it's made out of. Here's my airway with lube. I've got another type of tourniquet that wraps around, it's elastic, it's really tight. This is just stuff that I've seen over the last several years that I want to have that in my bag. I've got extras in there. My son has an IFAC too. Yep.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you're gonna carry this stuff, a lot of people will put it off, they go, I've got time. Make sure you learn to use it as soon as you can.
Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube called the Skinny Medic. Skinny Medic has all kinds of videos on how to use everything in this except for the zip stitch. Zip Stitch has videos. They've got other brands of this. And as he said, the duct tape and zip ties work the same way. But this is just stuff that I saw. Everybody else sees different things. If you have questions, go ahead. Yeah.
The only thing I noticed that you don't have is a sand sport.
It's a what?
Sand splint.
I don't.
It's like a foam
Yeah.
almost with this metallic material that you can form, around the road and wind.
Yeah.
And it works really, really well in conjunction with duct tape. I used it last year when I was hiking, it fell, broke my arm, and I put it on.
Is that like a closed phone, like a closed cell phone?
Yes.
Like, what was it made of?
Yes.
I'm gonna go get mine.
Okay.
I've got some in the car, but it works really, really well. It saved my arm.
I used to carry something with me in my car that, how long have you been a paramedic? Long time?
43 years.
Okay, so you know what the old ladder splints were.
Yes, sir.
I used those. Of course, I used to when I was an EMT, we used mask pants too, so that's on the logo. But I carried the ladder splints with me because you could roll them up.
Yeah.
And now I haven't even thought of it.
Well, since that goes up, mine's about that big when it's rolled up.
How wide is it?
It's about 6 inches wide.
So it fit
and
right
about 30
back.
inches long. So you can do a lot with one. I've got 2.
Mhm.
You can do a lot with it. Give you one just duct tape.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
So I've got an extra one if you want it.
He just offered me one too.
Okay.
Um,
They sell them at Bass Pro.
Yes, ma'am.
You said something, use the name Sawyer.
Sawyer, yeah. Just like where did I set water filtration?
It's a water filtration.
Yes, it is. Oh, it's back in here. Nope. There it is. I'll just bring it over to you. Let's see it. They've got them at Walmart. I think they're up to about $25, $30 now. When I picked this up, I paid about $24.
Watch the sales.
CC. Oh my goodness. It is. Everything's going up.
If you watch the sales, sometimes you can get the 2-pack for the same price as the 1-pack.
You can?
A couple of months ago, I saw 2 for like $1 more than the same.
Oh, the bucket of food that I bought, I got that. They had those at Walmart for a long time. They were $20 each. Last time I saw them, it was on the floor.
You get them in Marshfield now for $26, they're on 86. All box.
But we don't have an inflation, Brandon said so.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Not a question, but a comment on
Yes, sir.
the Sawyer water filters. Well, on any water filter in general that's ceramic. As long as they're dry, they're okay for all kinds of weather. But once you use it and it's got water in it, that
Yep.
thing will crack if it freezes. And
Sure
you don't
will.
have, the water is going to be filtered through the cracks. So it doesn't mean you're doomed. It just means like if you're sleeping or whatever like that, you stopped it for a while, put that thing inside your coat and keep it warm.
Well, that goes with a lot of stuff. If you get stuck on the side of the road, or if there is an EMP and you're trying to walk and you're carrying medicine, you're carrying insulin, keep it close to your body if it's cold outside. Because if it freezes, it's garbage. That's that way with a lot of medicines. Unfortunately, I found out I had a heart attack a little while ago. Had no idea, but they're sending me to the cardiologist. I know a lot of heart medicines are also temperature sensitive. There's a lot of meds. If you take meds on a regular basis, look at the bottle. Look it up online if you can. Make sure that it's not oversensitive to heat. If it is, don't put it in your bag. Keep it handy, but don't put it in your bag. Once I start carrying whatever they're going to give me, cardiologist, it's probably going to go in here too. And this bag is really nice. I like it. It's insulated. Picked up a yard sale. It's for Humira. It's a promotional thing. But if you can find small insulated bags like this, they're really great.
Carol's got a Sam splint
I see
there.
that.
So
Okay.
Come up here and show us.
come show and tell with us, Carol.
What is it called?
Oh, the Sam Splint,
SAM?
SAM, Sam Splint. This is a Sam Splint. Sam Splint, it's got a lightweight metal inside, a foam covering. Yeah, thanks. It can be molded and shaped so that it can be used as a splint for any extremity. So when you splint something, you always want to splint it in the position of function. So you want to have your position of function. If you think about when someone's got, their hand is at rest, their hand is like this. It looks like it's holding a so that's called a position of function. Okay, anyway, so you would use this, and then you could use either an ace wrap or Coban or, pardon me, a bandana, anything like that. The only thing that you want to be careful about is when you put something circumferential like duct tape around an arm or a leg, it can cut off circulation, so you want to be careful of that.
Thank you, Carol. Okay,
Thank you.
there you go. Okay,
Now, looking at it, I have seen something like this in the past, but it didn't have the foam on it. I think it had fabric or something on it. But I remember the metal inside.
okay, good. Are we at the end of your, okay,
Yeah,
very
unless
good.
there's more questions.
Questions real quick on this one? Question over here. Bugs, ticks, chiggers.
Bugs. You're absolutely right. With what? Now, I can tell you that he's got that right there. He was talking about ticks. And as soon as you go off-road, you start getting into ticks, chiggers, all kinds of stuff. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this year, as dry as it's been out at my farm, out at my farm, I have had a massive tick problem. Unfortunately, I don't have chickens this year, so the ticks were really bad. But those little tiny ticks, and then my son, or my son-in-law, he's Marine. He just found out that he has the alpha-gal. And he was like, they said you're extremely sensitive to beef, pork, and dairy products. And he was like, I've never had a problem with it. Yeah.
You're actually sensitive to anything that has milk, rabbits. The only thing that you really eat is poultry and fish. She's got alpha-gal.
You know, it's crazy because he said he has been having a problem with it. And, you know, he went down to the VA, did a battery of allergy tests on him. And I was like, are you sure you haven't had a problem with it?
With her all times.
Do what?
2 EpiPens.
2 EpiPens?
Carries with her for
Huh.
action.
That's something else to carry with you if you can.
Last Sunday at church, they had a birthday meal. There was orange chicken. There was cashew chicken. She said chicken's okay. However they prepared it, she had a 3-day reaction to it.
They probably used milk when they breaded the chicken.
Either that or they fried it in water.
Yeah. But the ticks and stuff, I don't have it in here. You can buy, it's an all natural insect repellent that I came across a deal, I bought like 100 packs of it. Works and it doesn't work. If you're gonna buy something, the off works great, Equid's off works better. But now I've got some in my trunk. But that's another thing, if you're gonna have aerosol cans in your trunk, be careful because they'll explode.
You can use mud.
You can use mud in a finish. Anything else? Before yeah.
Restored food, is there a supplier of that restored food that?
This one or this one?
I don't care what kind of food.
Okay.
I'm just asking, is there a supplier that supplies diabetic compliant food? So you're not.
Some.
Oh, here's all this,
Yeah.
pancake mix. You're not supposed to eat that.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't follow what I'm supposed to with diabetes. But yes, you have to do your research to find it. And sometimes you have to order like a bucket of this and not a bucket of that. When I say bucket, he's got that bucket over there of food. My son and I got a pretty good supply of freeze-dried and dehydrated foods. Bought some on Amazon, bought some from a company in Tennessee. You know, I bought it around. I found some that I also have a gluten problem, which that goes hand in hand with diabetes. You're not supposed to eat certain things. There's a company that makes gluten-free freeze-dried. There's another company that sells diabetic-friendly MREs. Now, they're not military-grade MREs. They're just emergency meals. There's another company that sells only gluten-free MREs. They are horrible. They are the worst things I've ever had in my life. Some of these are great. You know, some of these freeze-drieds are great. Some of them they just suck. Before you go and spend a lot of money on a pallet of food, get a sample, taste it. Because if you've got a pallet of food that you don't want to eat, you're going to have a miserable survival at the time that you need it, yeah?
I can't remember where I heard this. If you're going to get food for survival, get something that is going to be good for you, but you can also eat without a problem.
That you enjoy.
Because if you're stuck with, you know, a can of beans, and you hate beans, or you don't want to eat that, no, you'll eat it, but
in other words, get something you'll enjoy. If you like SpaghettiOs and you can handle SpaghettiOs, get a case of SpaghettiOs. Eat one of them. But, yeah.
So, we don't eat anything with carbs. We're low carb, we eat keto, and we carry with us food that is within our needs. So we keep meat sticks, spam, that type of thing, cheese sticks, things like that in our bags, because that's what we eat.
Most of the freeze-dried companies, back to Tom's question there, most of the freeze-dried companies, you can buy a variety pack like this, or like I have, that have a mixture of meals, but you can also buy individual things, like you can buy ground beef, and you can buy carrots, and you can buy different things. So you may just have to buy the individual items rather than pre-prepared food on
You
that.
can get a bucket that size of just black bean meat substitute. Yeah, I mean, you find it on Amazon. It's not always cheap on Amazon, but it's there. Yeah.
Yes?
I was just gonna answer his question. There's a website called forpatriots.com, and you can almost custom build your own what you want, and they'll pack it and send it to you. So if you want gluten-free, you tell them, I want gluten-free. If you want just hamburger, you tell them, and they'll send you just hamburger. The site's For Patriots. Go to the lady out in Stratford, offers the same stuff, you remember?
Yeah, Sherilyn, is she here tonight? She was going to be delivering food if anyone ordered, but I don't know if anyone ordered any. Sherilyn owns Down to Earth Foods in Stratford, Missouri. And they have a little storefront, but she doesn't encourage the storefront. She encourages delivery, and she will actually deliver it to you. She will actually deliver it to our meetings if you order in advance. But she buys and sells bulk foods items. Everything from big bags of beans, big bags of rice, all kinds of things, and very large varieties of that. It's a bunch of different kinds of beans, a bunch of different kinds of rice, and all kinds of things. I mean, a lot of stuff, but Down to Earth Foods, I think I've shared it on our Preppernet channel, so you can go there and find more information about that. But she's a great resource for that, and it's a local person. I always like to support local. Okay, real quickly, I've got about 17 minutes, and I'm going to go through my bag real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to Alan. Alan is going to speak to us for our last few minutes of our class about drones and property security and that type of thing. Something, I have a drone, and so I'm interested to see what his experiences are in using drones for security. Let me begin by saying I have a container that I keep in the back of my SUV, and this is my container. And so inside my container is not only my get-home bag, but several other items that in the event that I decide I've got to ditch my vehicle and I've got to hoof it on foot, there's various items inside here that I may or may not use depending on the situation. For example, the first two things I'll pull out of here are just hats. So I've got hats in here in case it's cold, you know, that type of thing. I, like you do, I change out my clothing inside my bag. I try to do it 3 or 4 times a year. I honestly, I probably haven't looked inside my get home bag for probably a full year, so whatever was in it was in it. So having a class like this is a great chance for me to get in there and replace some things. I needed to replace my food that was in there, my water that was in there, my medicine that was in there. And so it was a great opportunity for me to get in my bag and do what I should have been doing every few months anyway. So ideally, you would want to change out your clothing, your food, your other items in there regularly. Whatever, but I've got hats in here. I've got a metal cup I could use for cooking or that type of thing. I have a bunch of extra water in here, okay? Now I've got water in my get-home bag, but if I'm only anticipating a few hours, then I'm probably not gonna pack a bunch of extra water in there. So then I get my bag out. Now weight-wise, my bag I weighed it today weighs 25 pounds. So I'm approximately 200 pounds weight, so that's about 12.5% of my body weight. When I go camping, or when I used to go camping, hadn't been camping in a few years, I would carry a pack up to 60 or 70 pounds, hike in with it, and I could hike in 3 or 4 miles with it, set up camp and camp. I'm anticipating a potential for a much longer walk. And for me, the lighter weight, the better I can move. So I've chosen one that's about 25 pounds. We'll go through the contents in there. The other stuff I have in here that I may or may not take with me, I use some of these Tyvek coveralls. And depending on what the situation is, these are really cheap. These are $3 or $4 a piece. But it's a full hood and everything. I might need it for warmth. I might need it to blend in with the snow. I might, as camouflage, I might use it as a chemical suit, depending on the scenario of what's going on, why I'm having to use my get-home bag. But I keep one of these in here. I may or may not take it with me.
Where did you get the Tyvek?
Amazon. I buy them by the case. I'm a home inspector is one of my careers, and so I use these when I crawl in people's crawl spaces. But they have a bunch of different sizes.
You got them at Home Depot too.
Yep, Home Depot, Lowe's would have them. Extra Mountain House meals. One thing that it was one of you guys noted, I don't remember who it was, that's really true. If you have a freeze-dry meal, how you're supposed to rehydrate these is with boiling water. But they will actually rehydrate with just water. They won't taste as good, okay? They won't be warm, and it may take a little bit longer, but they will actually rehydrate without heat. Okay, and so these are good things to keep along. These are extras. I have some actually in my pack. I have more in here. And then I keep body armor in the bag, in the bottom of the bag. So if I'm bugging out, or getting home, I should say, I'm gonna throw the body armor on and then put my backpack on top of that. So that's just stuff I keep in here.
Freeze dry food, dehydrated, so I just put it in water in there. Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Put them inside your clothing. Your body heat will help with the travel.
Absolutely.
Body heat will help cook food.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll get a little bit warmer, but it's not gonna get super warm.
So it'll get really hot, you can get warm.
Yeah, absolutely. So inside my bag, I've got several things. In my right side pouch, I have both of my side pouches I just designated something to do with water. So I have a little small drinking cup. Then, actually no, this one's got some beef jerky in it. That's why I didn't put it in there. Beef jerky in that one. So I like a lot of protein, a lot of calories and that type of thing. So I love the little packages of beef jerky. So that's what's in that one. Oh, yeah. I didn't even remember that was in there until I just now dug it out. This is actually gold and silver. So this is some 90% silver and some gold coins. I have a half-ounce gold maple leaf and then a bunch of silver and gold in there, just bartering, those types of things that I may have on the way. Let's see here. This other side, I've got 3 water bottles. So that's real simple, just your Walmart water bottles. In this pouch, I have, let's see here. I use a lot of Walmart bags to keep things separated. This is my got rescue blankets, so I got 4 of those. I've got fire starters and waterproof matches. And again, for OPSEC reasons, I probably wouldn't be starting a fire for cooking, but in a really cold situation, I may want a fire for warmth. So I've got fire starters and waterproof matches. I've got toilet paper on the go. I've got tweezers and an cheap little emergency whistle, compass. It's got more matches inside. It's got a flint striker on the side, and it's got a little mirror inside there. So something, if I wanted to call attention to myself with a whistle or whatever, I would have that. Flashlights and batteries. Again, put new batteries in it today, so that's what's in there. More blankets, emergency blankets. Spare box of ammo for the weapon that I will commonly have on me. So spare box of ammo there. Then inside, I've got all my food up top, easy access. More of my Mountain House meals. By the way, these are really good. When I would take my kids camping when they were small, my kids are like, we want to eat those all the time. And I'm like, no, you're not, because they're like $10 a piece. But they're really good. So, hey, that's great Mountain House meals. Some of y'all were here a few meetings ago where we ate some of these little survival tabs. We passed them around and you got to eat them. They are not what I would want to survive on for forever, but they do provide you calories. So we've got those in there. I again do the beef sticks. And I do protein and granola bars type things. Just great stuff that you can give and go. My idea is that my food, I don't really, for the most part, want to have to stop and cook most of it. My whole purpose of having a get-home bag is to get home. And so every time I'm stopping to have to cook something, I'm stopping my progress. So I want something that I can don't have to cook it, I just unwrap it, and I just eat and walk. So that's the idea there. I've got some gloves in here. I've got a bag here. It's got medications. So I've got pain medication, sinus and allergy medication, and electrolyte that I keep in the small packages. I've got some paracord. I've got a reflective vest, a yellow reflective vest. Again, if I want to call attention to myself, I have that. I think what else I've got in here. I've got I got a boot knife. I've got a Leatherman tool down in here. Keep a Leatherman tool, so those types of things in there. And I've got, as has came up numerous times, a mini Sawyer. I think several of us had that just for water filtration. Again, you really can't pack as much water as you really are going to need, most likely. So something that you can filter water with. Then in the bottom there, I've got a Walmart sack with my clothing. Again, ideally, I would change out this clothing, particularly between summer and winter, but even sometimes in the fall. I've got 2 pairs of socks, wool socks. We talked about socks. 2 pairs of pants, 2 shirts, a hat, a bandana, and some ponchos. That's what's in my clothing. And the last thing I have, and the biggest thing, which no one else has had, is I have a tent in mine. I don't know, anyone have nightmares when they're sleeping out in the forest that things are crawling on them? Spiders, snakes, that type of thing? I don't know. Call me not a man or something, I don't know. But I can't sleep in the woods just out in the open. I have to have something on me. So I've got it's considered a 2-person tent. A 2-person tent can really sleep 1 person, particularly if you're going to bring your gear inside with you. But I've got a tent, along with my emergency blankets and my clothing, hopefully to stay warm. But that's my bag. And honestly, from what I've learned tonight, I'm going to make some changes to my bag and add some things and that kind of stuff. And probably try to keep it still under 30 pounds, but I'm going to make some adjustments to my bag tonight too. Any questions on my bag or anything we talked about on the bags? Yeah. Well, her question is, what do you do about kids if you have kids? Well, I'm just going to leave my kids behind. No, I'm just yes, I finally get out of here. My daughter's back there. So, it really depends on the age of the kids. Obviously, If you've got big kids, like I got a big kid, I provided her a backpack and said, hey, make your own bag, you know, kind of a thing. You know, when I took my kids camping, and Katie will remember this, her and Caleb have both, and Nathan have all camped with me, they had their own backpack appropriate for their size. And they carried their own. So pretty much from walking age up, they have a backpack that's appropriate for their size. Now you can't carry everything your child needs in there, but they can help carry something. And a lot of times they want to. They're like, oh, I want a backpack too. So pack a backpack, you pack it, don't have them pack it, with something, at least maybe their bedding and maybe some food specific to them. Little kids, like, can't walk yet. Man, that's tough. I mean, yeah. I don't know the answer to that question.
I would recommend just a sheet you can roll up real tight because you can make us like one swallow. I forget the name of it, but you can carry it with one of
Yeah,
those.
absolutely.
Like car seat.
And you might pack a back, you know, they make the backpacks for kids, and so put the kid in, you know. Good ideas. Yes?
So you were talking about separating. So if you have the supplies for you and your kids, what I can figure is, you know, have one of your kids carry the food, one of them carry, separate it out so that, you know, everybody has, you know, one certain item, but make sure everybody also has enough for them to survive on for at least a day.
Yeah. So, yeah, you certainly could segregate items. I generally don't. It's just that if we do get separated,
Yeah, that's why
you
I
know,
said make sure everybody
have at
has
least one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things I've heard everybody talk about is food, but one thing with water that I've found that I started using is it's got those little individual sticks. You can get them powdered, like electrolytes to put in your water to get you rehydrated, you know, back into your body, and instant coffee in sticks. So you can boil some water, put your coffee in it. Who doesn't want coffee out in the cold woods or cold weather?
So those are great ideas. The packets that you can put into your water. I use the little pills, the electrolyte pills that are not designed to taste as good, but they give you the same vitamins. You talked about instant coffee. I talked with somebody, who was it, talking about coffee earlier today, and that love coffee, but when it all hits the fan, if you're making a pot of coffee, that smell, everybody within miles is going to smell your coffee. So instant coffee is a great way. Freeze-dried coffee, by the way, stores long, so that's good. Okay. Yes?
What about medicines, keeping it in the trunk of your car,
I
like
use that
go bag,
red
you know,
cup stuff.
pills and things like that, or even granola
It's
bars
got
and
the red
milk.
cup on it.
Absolutely. So temperature extremes are going to have a shelf life effect on literally everything that has a shelf life. So, I mean, so you're definitely going to need to be checking. That's why I was kind of chastising my own self for not having checked my bag for a year. You know, you stick it in there and you get it going. You really should probably be checking it probably every 3 months or so, about every quarter. Every season change would be ideal. You can change out your clothing in there, you can check on the food, you can check on your batteries, you can check on your medications and all that. But absolutely, the temperature extremes of your car, hot and cold, absolutely gonna degrade and lessen the shelf life. Yes?
Let's go down to your coins that you carry with you.
The coins that I'd forgotten I had in there? Yeah.
You may not always want to use your coins to buy a bottle of water, especially cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
5 years ago, the little dollar coins, they started producing, they quit a long time ago. But I have 4 rolls of these, so if it is, and get it on back or something, you don't want your money getting, like, lots of people carry money in a debit card.
Absolutely. I know someone else in this room that loves those little dollar gold coins. I don't see them, but
Sticks.
I have 2 hammocks that I got when I went to Brazil and slept in the Amazon forest. And sorry, I'm sticking with my tent. But hammocks actually, I mean, yeah, a lot of people would do great in a hammock. And I learned actually how to sleep in hammocks from natives in the Amazon jungle. And and there's a comfortable way to sleep in them.
Keep it on the ground and I'm tied to the tree, but I keep it from I use a poncho and then the bug netting that you can wear, just to minimize it, multifunctional. It's gonna protect your ear when you're walking. So yeah, that with a rapid ridge line between two trees, list, keep it low, low profile.
Good. Last question, or two questions, and then we'll move on to our next segment.
Here, you talked about being off the road, going through the hills.
Yes, sir.
Bad nights. I'm sure you can accomplish all that. No? No?
Now, I noticed he had a bunch of land navigation stuffs out here, so he may be our land navigation guy. I do keep a basic compass.
I have one, sir. It's not in my bug out bag, I don't. It is my bug out bag. You do it in my get home bag. But you have to know, I'm comfortable with your horse out this west.
I saw one more hand over here.
Yeah, expired and coffee. If you're starving, that food that you just tossed could save your life. Just because it's expired doesn't mean it's not good for you. It's just the nutritional value has gone down.
Absolutely.
I belong to several groups, and one of the things, one of the gals said she had a lot of canned food she was gonna go in, toss out, because it was expired. If it's not bulged, it's good. It just doesn't have the same nutritional value.
Absolutely.
So that food is life and death for a person. You don't wanna always toss it.
So along those lines, talking about shelf life, and we talked about this 3 months ago when we had, we talked about storing food. There's a website called Still Tasty, STILLYTASTY, stilltasty.com, and it's the ultimate guide to food shelf life. And it talks about how long foods are good past their shelf life, and you can literally search for anything. Macaroni and cheese, roast beef, Spam, bacon, and it'll ask you, is it cooked, is it uncooked, is it sealed in a package? It asks you all kinds of information about it, and then it will give you an estimate of what its shelf life. But shelf life is always based upon static, good storage conditions. That's why I talked about, and specifically regarding your bug out bag, or your get home bag, if it's stored in your car with your temperature extremes, it can have certain adverse affections to storage life. But absolutely, there's a lot more shelf life than most of the dates that are on goods now are best buy dates. They're not even expiration dates. And so,
And those expiration dates, they just started putting on them last, 20 years? Prior to that, there was no expiration date.
okay, we got to move on real quick. Alan, are you ready? Alan has a recent purchase of a drone, and he's going to come talk to us. So we'll step away, guys. Let him have the table here. And there's not much. Yeah, you can use that table. There you go.
My name's Alan, and I've been a prepper for a long time. It's been on my to-do list for a while to get a drone for rural homestead security. And recently the Amazon Ferry left a DJI Mini 3 Pro on my front porch, and this is what it looks like. It's got a little thing here to protect the camera. Put this down here. I'm trying to talk loud. It could probably be flown in here, but I don't trust. I've only crashed it twice, and I've only flown it 3 times. When I first got here tonight, I replaced a couple of the blades on it, propellers on it. But this is what it looks like. controller. You can get a cheaper, what we're looking at here is about $1,000. You can get a cheaper version that instead of using the display here, it's got a thing and you put a cell phone on it up here and you use your cell phone. But cell phones and Apple products and I don't get along well together. So I opted for this. And the jury's still out on how useful it is for rural homestead security. I've done a few flights at my farm. The last crash it got down, I've got 50 acres out in Webster County, and I wanted it to be able to program it to go up. If one of my perimeter alarms says there's an intruder, send the drone up, fly around a pre-programmed route to check and see where the bad guys are, know where they are before they get close. That's kind of the game plan. One thing I have, I've got a couple of YouTubes on there.
Which one do we play? Not all of them.
I can't read it on there from here.
Letters are that big, Alan.
Yeah, I know. They're a little, I think, they're kind of blurry. If there's is it showing the times? Not
Showing the file size.
It's not showing the length. Anyhow, we don't have time for all of them, and I just threw some on a flash drive. But the bottom line is, the conclusion I have come to is in the summertime, when there's a lot of foliage on the trees, bad guys can probably sneak in under the cover of the trees pretty easily, which in the Missouri Ozarks is pretty much everywhere. Now, maybe out in the Great Plains, Colorado, or someplace, it'd be a lot more useful. I think in the wintertime, when the leaves are off the trees, you definitely be able to see them. What I wanted to get was a thermal drone so that it can be useful at night so you can see the image.
Why didn't you buy one? I know the answer. But
Well, the thermal drone I want's around $5,000.
yeah, that's the
So, I can justify so much as a toy. Anyhow, there's,
figure out which one it was.
just go for it. Can you read what the first one says?
Drones for prepping.
Let's try that one. I'm a strong believer if somebody else has invented a good wheel and they'll let you use it, i.e. somebody's done a good YouTube on the subject, don't reinvent it yourself. And I'm not that good of a public speaker, but I will have the drone at the bug out camp next weekend and fly around there and show how it works. And have questions after this.
Hi, this is Gilles, the radio prepper. This video is about drones for prepping. Now, it might seem a bit off subject, of course, for a radio channel, but it's also a prepping channel. And drones are radio controlled, so you let me know if you don't want to see videos like that.
Is this what you wanted, Alan?
That'll work.
Okay, it's 24 minutes. You want to hear the whole thing?
Go for one of the shorter ones.
Go for the shorter one, okay.
Also,
On
the 4 sheets of the list that were going around somewhere, I was sitting down there, I don't think it ever came on this table, I don't know where it stopped.
Down here and then went back to get right here.
No.
He was the leader at the time, and
I
that
guess
was the
they never
leader.
got around.
He'd come there and he put on 5 YouTubes, and every one of them would just repeat. It was horrible. So you can see it's kind of cringe when there's history.
They're a lot of fun to use for photography, but do they have any real use in the prepping community? Now, as I said in the intro, you guys know these things are a blast to fly. You get some amazing pictures with them. You can do a lot with these drones, but, do they have a use in the prepping community? And I think to some extent, if all your other preps are in place, that they might have a very good use for you. Now, like I said, if you don't have your food, your water storage, if you're brand new and you'll never afford one of these, because you don't have a lot of money right now, it's not something to stress over, okay? And there are less expensive ones. This happens to be a DJI standard, 3 standard, Phantom 3 standard, I'm sorry. And, you know, there's so many other cheaper versions out there that may not work as well, but may have applications in prepping. But this is not something you run out and buy first. You want to make sure you got your food, you got your water, you have your survival gear, your bug out bags, way to cook, all that stuff way before you start looking into stuff like this. It's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, just like guns and ammo. Do you want to run out and buy a ton of guns and ammo and not have anything ready for, you know, when you gotta eat? So, I'll give you a quick overview. I'm not going to explain too much, but I'll give you a quick overview on what I feel and how I feel these could be useful to someone in the prepping world. Your first thing is, what I think of is recon. Checking out your area, okay? Let's say, you know, you hear trouble outside and you want to go check it out. Well, these can do that. These are very simple, and once you get them up high enough, they're really quiet. I had this, I'll show you in the footage later on down in the video, but I had this up to about 100 feet, 115 feet. You couldn't hear it from where I was standing and in my, you know, garage door. So for recon, for keeping a watch on your property, for giving you advance warning of some trouble, real handy, awesome. Search and rescue. If you're involved in ham radio like I am, and there's a disaster and you're called out and nobody can get to where you gotta go, you know, something like this can come in handy. These can go into places that human beings can't. You know, I've seen them flown through rubble. I've seen them flown recently with the hurricane through destroyed streets where, you know, maybe you don't want to be walking. Flooded areas, they can get there. Okay? Looking for resources. Want to find out, you know, you're out in the middle of nowhere and you want to find out where there's water, maybe animals to hunt. All stuff like that help. You know, maybe you're looking for another person. Now, granted, you're not going to shove this in a bug out bag. This is more of a your bug out location type tool or your home type tool, but it can come in handy like that. Something I thought about this morning, actually, while I was flying, this is communication. This can be, you know, these can be programmed to fly a specific path, land, and then take off again. You could communicate with your neighbors with this if you can't go outside. If you're in a situation where maybe it's not safe to go 2 doors down and tell the neighbor you have something to barter or whatever, you can use this to fly down there with a note on them. Now, it's not going to carry a huge payload. These things are fairly heavy. I'd estimate probably about 10 pounds with the battery in it. But it's not going to carry much more of a payload than the camera that it already has. But strapping a piece of paper to it isn't going to cause a problem. And lastly, you can use this to survey an area that might be infected with some kind of biological agent, chemical, bio, nuclear, who knows? Excuse me, I'm trying to finish up something, eating something here, and I'm choking on it. You can use this to survey areas that might not be safe for human beings to go into. Now, granted, if you're going into an area with fallout, you're going to need a solution to decontaminate something like this. So while it might be a one-time use thing or a last-ditch effort, it does come in handy. Quick overview of the aircraft. I'm not going to get into too much stuff because I know because I've been watching the last few days. There are tons of videos online on how to get these set up, started, and flying. But this is the aircraft right here. There's your camera. It's mounted on what's called a gimbal. I've got a fly in here that won't leave me alone. The gimbal device auto-stabilizes the camera. When the aircraft is powered on, it's kind of neat because you can hold it, and the camera will stay straight. No matter how you turn the aircraft, the camera just stays straight and compensates for it. And you got little shock buffers here so that it won't bounce around. The controller is surprisingly simple. In the, I want to say, late 80s, I raced RC cars. And we used to have these, they were made by Futaba, these controllers that looked like guns with steering on them, and they were really, really complicated. This thing, essentially, is your cell phone, all right? That's what runs this drone. This is a little sunshade. I'm going to take it off for the picture, the video here. This is essentially your controller. You snap your phone in there, and you run it from your phone, essentially. And you connect to this via Wi-Fi. This is actually Wi-Fi. The aircraft is actually a Wi-Fi hotspot. So that's it, pretty much. Simple controller. Has a nice weight to it. It's not, you know, it looks kind of cheap and plastic, but it's actually a pretty decent, heavy item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll in some footage and give you an idea. Now, this is the second time I've taken this up in the air. So cut me some slack because the footage isn't that great. I took it up in my driveway yesterday for about, I don't know, a minute and a half. I posted it on my Facebook page. And let me tell you, it was kind of nerve-wracking because these aren't cheap and didn't want to crash it. Now, these aren't GPS enabled. Okay? So that's another thing to consider. These rely on a lot of sensitive electronics. An EMP would take them out possibly. They rely on GPS. The neat part of this is they're very simple to fly because of that, because you can just take them up to a level, let go of the controller, put it down, walk away, and it'll stay there. Because it's using GPS to keep it, the GPS satellites to keep it in one place, like kind of hovering. So, yeah, in a total collapse of society or some kind of EMP or something like that, this may not have as much use as we think. But for everyday disasters, you know, earthquakes, floods, fires, who knows, something like this could really come in handy. So I'm going to roll in the footage, and it's not all that exciting, really. It's just taking off from my driveway and landing in my yard, and the empty lot across the street. But I'll give you an idea how these can work and how high they can go, and I didn't take this anywhere near its limit of height. Again, I'm still new and kind of freaked out by flying something this expensive and not wanting to crash it. But the neat thing is I'll be able to roll some of this stuff into my videos later on. It'll be kind of cool. Anyway, here's the footage.
That's what I hate about YouTube
One thing I forgot to mention. This one, with the stock battery that comes with it, it weighs 249 grams. The FAA wants you to get certified and take a test to fly a drone that's heavier than 250 grams. The battery, this is the battery that came with it. The battery that's in it weighs more, brings it over 250 grams, but it'll go 47 minutes with the battery that's in it. I'm not certified. I might be certifiable, but that's anyhow. This smaller battery is only good for 37 minutes maximum. That's my ideal conditions. I think I probably got 25 minutes. Depends on what you're doing, how hard the wind's blowing, and all that stuff. It's got, this is, I I guess the DJI Mini 3 Pro is their newest pro consumer grade drone. That it has all kinds of really cool features that I haven't gotten into yet. I mainly wanted it for security purposes, and I think it will be useful for that. Maybe not quite as useful as I thought it would be, but the jury's still out on that. I think, what kind do you have that's been your experience?
I have a similar experience to you. Mine is the DJI Mini 2, so the little bit older version. I paid $400 for mine. What'd you pay for yours?
It was I think 909 with the stock battery. It was close to an extra $100 for the extra battery.
Yeah. And I did pay an extra $100 for the extra batteries and stuff too.
And
so.
it records. It's got a little SD card, micro SD that goes in here. I got it 512 and 256 gigabytes. I think it's 256 gigabytes. Let me take my glasses off here. Yeah, 256. And the controller will also take one of these. And of course, I got two of the expensive 256 gigabyte cards and found out only afterwards that I really didn't need to get much of a card for the controller, because you're only recording what you see on the controller screen. This, stay in there, Rick. Not getting it right. There we go. Now it's stayed put. It'll record 4K video at I think 60 frames per second. Stuff that just 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, you had to spend really big bucks to get that kind of video quality in a drone. The price performance ratio has improved a bunch. Like I said, I've just had it real recently. Haven't flown it that much. I think that one can make money with these things, doing videos for real estate sales and stuff like that. If you want to get a thermal, spend the big bucks to get a thermal drone, you can get hired by utility companies and stuff to inspect power lines and stuff. They used to use helicopters for that. And commercial buildings for roofs. If the roof has a leak, if water gets into it a little bit, with the thermal imaging, you can tell the difference. There's ways to make money with them. I don't plan on doing that, but why did you get yours and what's been your experience?
Yeah, so I bought mine because I'm a home inspector, and so I bought it for home inspections. And so I had to get my commercial FAA license, which was a pain in the butt. But anyway, you have to do it for pay, you have to do it. And mine is the same basic size, it's just immediately under the weight limit, so I don't have to have a license because of the weight limit, I have to have a license because I'm using it commercially, potentially. But my experience as far as using it for a prepper is probably very similar to your experience in that it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. You hinted the trees, my property is 70% wooded, so you literally, this time of year, you can't see anything below the trees. So unless the bad guy's going to climb to the top of your 70-foot tree and wave at you so you can see him, your drone's not going to do you any good. Open areas, absolutely, it was effective during the fall when the trees are not on the leaves. When the leaves are not on the trees, then it would probably be more effective. I'm not even sure though that a thermal would work. I'm thinking the canopy of the trees would hide the thermal underneath it. So I don't even know that a thermal would work. The other thing that I was concerned about was the noise. For me, at about 150 feet was the height that had to be before you couldn't really hear it. And
this was supposed to be quite a bit quieter.
Maybe so, the newer one's quieter. I found that to stay above my trees, I needed to stay at about 70 foot or more. And if I got it, I felt, in my opinion, and I used to be a dove hunter when I was a kid, so I'm pretty good at predicting what I can hit with a shotgun. If it wasn't at least 100 foot up, it was going to be a pretty easy target with a shotgun. So you got to keep it pretty far up there, but you lose some of kind of what you're looking for when you get too high up. But they will go very high, so high you cannot see them. And I downloaded additional software that allowed me to do the GPS track, and so I programmed it in and just hit one button, and it flew a pattern over my property, stopped and looked at certain things I told it to stop and look at. It went and looked at my beehive and looked at this and looked at that, and so it was pretty effective. It was not free software, it was about $25. And so if you're interested, but the factory software does not do that.
I need to talk to you about it, because that's what
Yeah, and I literally, from my laptop and my recliner, I can program where I want it to go, and it would fly all that. So anyway.
I want to be able to do it before, send it out at night to see
Absolutely.
how good its low light capability is. And also, it not only does videos, it'll do still shots also, at real high resolution still shots. And I barely scratched the capabilities of it.
That's pretty much where I'm at too.
But I did notice that the videos I did do, that if there was bad guys under the trees down there, I wouldn't be seeing them.
No, not at all.
So do you keep it wrapped in foil so you can use it if you need it?
I keep it, when I don't have it with me doing home inspections, I keep it in my Faraday cage. Yeah, good. Okay, any quick questions about drones? Yes?
What's the range between, on something like that, between your controller and your maximum distance flight?
They say several miles, but out of my farm, up on a hill, and I flew it around and down in a valley, and it was losing contact. And that was probably less than half a mile away. So I was so far from that aspect, I'm disappointed. I need to figure out how I can improve that. I think that DJI has a new controller, the Pro version of that. The controller itself, but it has connections for external antennas. And this is probably new enough that there's other folks out there that will be figuring out how do we extend the range of it. And so, you know, YouTube is your friend on new technology, stuff like this.
So to answer that question, my property is 11 acres, and I flew, and my house is kind of in one corner of it. So for my driveway, me standing there, it flew the entire 11 acres without any problem of connecting. So I don't know, but it's several thousand feet that you can get away from your controller.
Yeah, keeping it up high, up in the air, you know, several hundred feet up, can go a long ways, but I was down head height down in the valley. And this one has collision avoidance, got sensors to detect front, back, and I think down, but not up and not sideways. So the first flight I did, I had it out in our yard at home, just outside of Springfield, and there was a tree in the yard, and it was back behind the tree, and I was going sideways into the neighbor's tree. It didn't have sideways collision avoidance. Well, that was a real minor crash. It went down to the ground, but it got back up on its own. And there it is out there hovering, waiting for me to tell it what to do. And then I could tell some leaf stains on the propellers. But the second flight down into the valley, I think it lost contact and it decided to just set down where it was. There's settings you can put in. I probably had it set wrong instead of return to home. And I think it decided to set down through a tree. And anyhow, I lost contact with it. When I went down and found it before the cow stepped on it, it had about that much of one of the propellers broken off. And it came with 4 extra propellers. So I've used 2 of them.
Okay, more questions about drones?
Drone has always been on my dream list. And after listening to the video, and listening to you guys with limitations, price, I want your opinion, but it sounds like that's dropped way down on my list of something to do.
It would drop way down. It was like he talked about in the video, you know, get your food first, get your water first, get your security first, get all this stuff first, then do a drone. That's where I was at. It was kind of one of my wish list things. It's even less effective than that, for me.
I'd say get your night vision before before you get your drone.
Yeah, I would agree. Night vision first. Thermal.
Both, I could go both PBS 14 and thermal. Both night vision, starlight, and thermal. Yes. One works. They both have advantages. Yeah.
So how long, yeah, that's $4,000 charge. How long does it take to charge a completely drained battery?
I think it's about, with the 65 watt, another thing. This thing came and it takes a USB-C. Well, everybody's got a new iPad with USB-C, don't they? Except us. We didn't have a USB-C. It came with a USB-C cord, but we didn't have the wall wart for USB-C. Because all of ours were just regular USB-A, I guess it was. So anyhow, I had to, the Amazon ferry delivered a 65 watt, I think 13 or 14 bucks USB. Going to answer your question, less than an hour, I think, to fully charge it. Maybe.
How long does it last?
Oh, 37 minutes with the stock battery, 47 minutes maximum with the heavier battery that takes it over the 249 grams, which you're supposed to say Mother May I to the FAA to do that, but it's a practical matter. How are they going to catch you unless you go flying into an airport or the president's giving a speech or something like that?
Don't do that. Yeah, two things I mentioned. My batteries last about 20 minutes, depending on how much active flying I'm doing, you know, up, down, past, that type of thing. And I have 3 batteries. It probably takes an hour to charge each one. So it takes a while to charge. So you're not going to get continuous flight. The other thing I'll mention, someone mentioned about how far from the controller can you get. Legally speaking, whether you have a license or don't have a license, either one, you're never supposed to fly it out of your visual sight. Now you can use a spotter, but someone has to keep eyes on it. And I can tell you with my eyeballs, I cannot see that thing more than maybe 200 feet away.
But there's all kinds of YouTubes out there where they've flown them miles.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to. Anyway, we're just talking there. Okay, real quickly, we're going to wrap things up real quick. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate your time and expertise. And stick around and ask Alan questions. We need to get to wrap things up. First of all, the clipboard is here. Has most of the tables seen the clipboard and been able to sign up? Need it back here. So when you guys are done, if y'all throw it back there. Okay? You have a question or are you just looking for the clipboard?
I just wanted to point out that the website contacts for the medical that you guys asked for is now up on the board.
Yeah, so she talked about Jace Medical, a place to get medications, and they have their own physician that they use to do the prescriptions. And then Dr. Syed Hayden there is the other one that was recommended. So, yes?
Realistically, a lot of us have physical limitations which are trying to prevent us from carrying these bags any appreciable distance. Rolling suitcases and baby strollers work like a champ. It takes the weight off your body as well. So if it's icy out, you don't want to be carrying that and throwing your balance off. And the majority of us are going to start out on some kind of a roadway, so that takes the weight off your body, so you're not putting weight on your knees, your ankles, your back. And those things draw attention. People will see that backpack and say, what is in there? They will not pay anywhere near as much attention to a rolling suitcase or a stroller. And you can put 3 gallons of water in the bottom of that rolling suitcase with your backpack on it, and you can feed and you can make some time. So that's something to consider. It also helps protect it from the rain, the snow, everything else that's going on. So that's an option for people, especially those that
Hey, Mike,
are open.
did you ever see that?
Yeah, so that's a great idea. If you didn't hear him, he just recommended using a rolling suitcase or a stroller or that type of thing as your bug out bag. Particularly if you're going to be on roads or if you have difficulty carrying a backpack. So that's a great idea. Okay, let's get to the prizes. That's what everybody's waiting for. So would you grab me those